Hello and welcome to the Atheist Community of Austin. This is our first introductory show. My name is Joe Zamecki. I'm a member of the Atheist Community of Austin.
Hi, I'm Don Rhodes. I'm co-coordinator of the Atheist Community of Austin, and we're delighted to be here with you today.
I'm Mary Sue Osborne, and I'm a member of the Board of Directors of ACA and the Social Director.
What exactly is an atheist?
As an atheist, what drives you to, take the time out, do public access, spend your own money, lead this campaign? What kind of, is there joy from it? What's your ambition?
Yeah, I think it's horrible that the U.S. is out killing people because Christians have sabotaged the U.S. AIDS response. Right? I think it's a horrible thing, and I think it's pointless suffering. And if I can somehow stop that by being here on the show and educating people as to this, because the media isn't covering it very well, then I feel like I've done a good thing and I've helped some people out. So that's one of the things that's motivating me.
I'm a pretty independent person, and it's been real hard getting that way, but I'm here and I'm glad. The only problem is that I've spent a lot of vulnerable years, and they've been real isolating and alienating from society, because society's so weird, okay? All I can do is try to catch a buzz and forget about it.
There you go.
That's all I can do.
This whole idea that anyone with a shred of morals in their fiber, right, could look at a film where someone is just being horribly tortured to death and smile and say, gee, wow, they did that for me. Isn't that awesome? No, it's not.
Howdy out there in TV land. This is Boss Ross, the happy atheist. Jesus the Nazarene was a man. Bunch of hooey. Jesus is the Son of God. They're confused as hell, if you pardon me for saying so that way.
I heard y'all speak about Satanism.
Because we don't believe in the devil either. And
but why are you bashing Christians and God, but yet?
Well, because I don't have in Satan we trust sitting in my dollar bills facing me every day. I don't have Satan is sitting on the corner there, sticking their Satan Bible in my face saying I'm going to heaven or whatever else if I don't change my ways.
Exactly, because we Satanists don't get in people's face like Christians do. Well, in part I'm up here because they said they never get any Satanists on the show.
Mm-hmm. Every human being has heard of God, and every human being has heard of Satan. And we all know where Satan came from. So why do you guys believe that Satan
No, wait a minute. That's her personal belief. Do not put Atheist Community of Austin anywhere near Satanists.
Right, but that's y'all's whole argument, though, is personal belief. I mean, you guys don't have proof that there is no God, and we don't have proof that there is a God, but we have to believe.
But go back to your original question. The difference between what we're doing and what, quote, the Christians are doing or whatever else, we're not telling you we have the answer, we have the only answer, and if you don't go our way, you're going to hell or whatever else. We are presenting the facts in a useful, interesting way.
And you can make your own judgment.
And we're leaving that judgment and those decisions up to you. We feel that the facts speak for themselves.
My name's Ray Blevins. The realtor, as soon as he found out it was an atheist group, is like, no, he wouldn't give us a price. He wouldn't tell us where the building was. He's like, I will not rent to an atheist. And so, yes, we do feel discriminated against.
Mr. David Kent? Any group that tries to deny another group the right of expression is not worth my respect.
Living life just like games that people play. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Don't take it personally. Know that it can be hard sometimes to separate the dancers from the dance, but we all don't see go. All you can change is how you treat the ebb and flow. And even so,
Arlo Pignotti. That seems really good proof or evidence supporting that there are other planets, and it also shows that they are forming from natural processes.
My guest today is Vic Farrell.
Americans are scientifically illiterate. They just don't know how to analyze and question the junk, literally, that's being thrown at them.
How do you explain the world being created and so on?
We don't explain the world being created. Using the word created assumes that there was some kind of creation.
Creative
force. So what do you mean?
But what I mean is, how did it become then?
Well, scientists are working on that.
Yeah.
Now, generally, I mean,
I didn't ask scientists. I asked you. How do you?
Well, is it my job? I don't know.
The scientists have provided.
How do you explain? How do you explain? You know, let me pick some random piece of physics out of the air, and ask you to explain that. I mean, so what? That's there. You act as if there's some requirement that we have an answer for that particular question. What if we just don't know? What if we just don't know, and how is that a problem?
Get the final wall!
Atheist experience. As friends of mine, tadpole cannibalism. Yes, thank you guys. Yes, yes.
We're going to go on. Going to go on to the next call. We thank you for calling, but in our eyes, reality is something objective and outside of your own brain. Well, and so what I see as reality, what you see as reality, and what the guy in the sanitarium sees as reality, while they may be you may be seeing different things, there is an objective one out there.
Yeah, reality is that
we like
does
the
not
objective
change
one.
regardless of what your opinion of it is.
Exactly.
This week's guest, Jeff D. Awfully startling news item here. Science finds God. If I die and there happens to be a God and I was way wrong, I will look at God and I will go, oops. And if that God is the kind of guy who is going to fry me in hell for exercising this free will you say I've got, then that's not a God.
Today's guest is Martin
Wagner. They were, of course, working from the Christian presupposition that we are the ultimate. Well, what is the basis for your presupposition that life can only have meaning if that meaning is externally imposed upon us by a supernatural third party? Who was doing the training pigeons to deliver missiles? Must be very small missiles.
Here is a graphic.
What is this?
Pilgrims flock to divine potato.
Today's guest, Russell Glasser.
I almost never hear anybody talking about reincarnation and saying, oh, in my past life I was a pathetic, trodden-on peasant. The only slight problem is that nobody has ever seen Hank or his butt.
Our guest today is Ashley Perrien.
They said that they would not take them to the hospital because, again, it was in God's hand. If God wanted them healed, he would do it. When I was young, I used to always listen to what they said in church and stuff like that, and I saw no reason to believe.
According to Ashcroft, civilized people, Muslims, Christians, and Jews, all understand that the source of freedom and human dignity is the Creator. Doctors in an Indian village say they're losing business to a holy man selling a divine urine cocktail.
Now, wait a minute. We don't have to believe that there was a guy named Jesus who said these words in order to criticize the people who do believe that there was a guy named Jesus, who ignore the fact that their holy book, which they think contains his words, says these words.
But when you take a verse out of context to support your position, then you're doing the same thing you blame the Christians for doing. Therefore, you can't believe in his prophecy.
We don't, but we do believe that there are Christians out there who say that this book is full of the direct words of God and that this book is a moral guide. And if those people say this book is a moral guide, but their figure that they are following says, but those mine enemies which would not that I should reign over them, bring them hither and slay them before me, you've got to take responsibility for the fact that your holy book says this.
It says that in a prophetic sense.
In a prophetic sense?
Yes, and if you don't believe that Jesus is coming back again, one day you will bow your knee before him and say that he's Lord.
And that's completely reprehensible.
You find
excuse me, sir, are you an American? Are you aware that a little over 200 years ago, people moved from England to this country so we could stop having kings, so we could stop the tyranny of powerful individuals telling everybody else how they had to be and how they had to live, just because they were powerful?
Is that the reason you're an atheist? You don't want God to reign over you?
No.
I'm telling you because I'm American, I don't recognize the power of kings. I do not recognize that might equals right, which seems to be ultimately what Christianity comes down to.
Well, basically what Christianity comes down to is that the God who created us has the authority and the sovereignty to do what he wants to do with us.
Why? What gives... imagine, for a moment, a human scientist creates intelligent life in a laboratory, and then says, hey, you laboratory creation, you must now worship me. I have the right because I created you. You wouldn't agree with that. What's different if, instead of a human scientist making a guy in a laboratory, it's a God creating human beings in a universe? What's the difference? It's still morally bankrupt. No being, no matter how powerful it is, has the right to exert its will to force other people to live a certain way. That's just wrong. It's fundamentally wrong. And the United States was founded on getting rid of the idea that kings have any kind of right to tell people what to do.
So what's
wrong with you?
What do you use as a source to? Who are you to say that God is wrong?
Our founding fathers said that might does not make right over 200 years ago. Do you think might does make right? Excuse me, sir. Do you think that just because some being is a whole lot more powerful than another, that powerful being automatically has the right to tell the lesser beings to worship it?
I am saying that...
No, answer my question, yes or no.
Now, see, you won't give me...
Sir, answer my question, yes or no. Does might make right?
God is right.
All right,
He's saying that if there is a God, he's wrong.
Yeah, if there is a God, he's wrong. That's correct. If there is a God, and that God says that because I'm so much more powerful than you, you have to do as I say, right? If there is such a being, that is an evil being.
That is not why God says that. God does not say, because I'm this, then you do what I say.
Then what is the justification?
Says that I love you. And as a response to my love, you ought to do what I say, and he gives us choices.
The love involving taking people that don't worship him and slaying them.
And you know, I like the analogy that dude gave, talking about a choice of roads that you go down.
Right.
Now, see, you chose to be an atheist. Now, if in the end of it all you're wrong, then you chose to go to hell. I choose to be a Christian.
Excuse me.
Because I
am a thinking being.
Exactly.
I live in a universe. Now, if a God made this universe and set it up so that if I, a thinking being, have to turn off my brain and start believing something just cause, right? Just because people tell me God loves me, I ought to believe in him. When there is not a scrap of evidence, there's not a scrap of evidence I can look at to show me that that being exists in the first place, but I'm supposed to believe him anyway. And if I don't, then there's this road that I go down by default that punishes me for eternity. Then the being that set up this whole situation is fundamentally evil.
Were you born an atheist?
Yes, all people are born atheists.
And I didn't ask you that to be argumentative or anything, but what I'm saying is that you made a choice.
Okay, we did.
I actually did, because even though all people are born atheists, because all people are born without even the idea of the concept of God, even though I was born that way, I was raised in a Methodist family, and I was indoctrinated with all these beliefs. But eventually I got over it.
Well, good for you. I just want y'all to know Jesus loves you in spite of you.
In spite of that, okay.
And when you see him, you tell him one day Wayne said that you was wrong and you chose to go the wrong way.
Oh, I see. This is all about you scoring points with God. Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye.
You have a great week there, Wayne.
Yeah.
We do appreciate
Thanks, Wayne.
that.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that,
It's not your fault, Wayne.
Yes.
You were raised that way.
My co-host for today is Mary McManamy.
According to the Associated Press, only 1 in 5 high school seniors has a solid grasp of science, and only half know the basics. To be honest, I don't really know that I need an explanation. What does that mean for people who don't believe in anything, or if they're not sure, if let's say they're agnostics? I just don't believe that the government needs to be dictating anybody's belief or lack of belief. Scientists apparently have built a tiny computer from DNA.
And with us on the air today is Keryn Glasser.
Dealing with the end-of-life process.
Donna's going to talk to us today about memetics.
The idea of universal Darwinism is sort of taking the ideas of evolution out of evolutionary biology and seeing what else they apply to.
My co-host this week, Matt?
The laws of this nation weren't founded on the Ten Commandments. This nation wasn't founded on Christianity. God was explicitly voted out.
What do you know about the Bible? Other than what you've read.
Well, reading it kind of helps typically.
We've got two special guests in the studio today, Ann Veerkamp and Tracie Harris.
There's hospitals full of, dying, malnourished babies that need love and families, but she's not going to touch one until God tells her this is what she needs to do. If we're talking about something for which we have zero evidence and zero knowledge and zero attribute, then really it's no different than talking about nothing.
Joining me this week's Jennifer Peoples.
I did come from a religious family. In fact, my father, prior to his death, was studying to become a Methodist minister. There's a final part of it which requires that the mohel take some wine in his mouth and then put his mouth on the infant's penis and suck the blood from that and then spit the wine and the blood in a receptacle.
Yes, you actually heard that right.
Yes.
This is Beth.
I eat meat. I don't think animals have the moral status of humans. How you would deal with the death now that you're an atheist versus a Christian, but that's the thing. I don't think the Christians, at least the ones who are very big on heaven, deal with it. They just put it off. They're like, I'm sad, this person's gone, and I'm going to put all that away, and I'll see them in heaven.
Linnea Glasser.
I try and find happiness in the truth.
For the first time, despite being involved in the show for longer than I have.
Almost, not quite.
Almost. John Iaccoletti. Woo!
Thank you. It's good to...
Yes, our studio audience has to go nuts.
All the infrastructure in the legal system is already there for marriage. It's just a matter of not discriminating. So in that respect, it's easy. You just stop caring what the genders of the people applying for the marriage license are.
With me today is Phil Session. Hello, everybody. When I was a believer, even after I went, called myself spiritual but not religious, kind of leaving the actual Baptist name Christian behind and just going with that general spiritual route. This is before I actually progressed to non-belief in a deity at all. I still held on to that fear.
If you ever do find this guy, run away.
Because he kills
He kills lots and lots and lots of people. Run away.
Okay. I love that. Ashley, I guess we just think too hard on this show. That's our problem.
Yeah, we'll have to knock that off.
Darn
nasty habit.
Darn that thinking stuff, It just kind of gets in the way of that faith thing. Hey, Christians, we don't hate you. We just think you're wrong.